I know I'm pretty late for this review, but this is the Lenovo Legion 7, and it is Lenovo's very best thin and light gaming laptop. We all know it looks very pretty, but is the laptop itself any good? Let's find out. And please like and subscribe if you like these type of videos. Like I said, the Legion 7 is a gorgeous laptop. With a full aluminum white body, it not only looks good, but it's also built very sturdily, and it feels premium. It barely flexes when pressed on, and it should handle scratches and bumps pretty well. It also has these cool looking brushed aluminum sides, which aren't just for looks. Since these parts are pure metal, you basically can't scratch them when blindly plugging in metal connectors. This does make the laptop pretty sharp on those corners though, which might be a bit uncomfortable for some people. Despite it being all metal though, it's pretty lightweight and definitely usable with one hand. And it's also very nice and thin, which makes it lovely to carry around and makes it look premium. But despite being a thin and light, it has some very high specs. I'm especially impressed by that 275HX, which is basically the fastest Intel laptop processor right now. With 24 cores, it's an absolute beast, but we'll have to see how it performs in such a thin body. The Legion 7 goes up to an RTX 5070, which is a fast card, but other laptops have higher tier options as well, which don't limit them to 8GB of VRAM like this one does. But at least that 5070 should be getting all the power it needs, with it having the highest possible TGP for this chip. Now, in terms of its ports, it has quite a nice selection. With the charging port being on the back, it also keeps it out of the way. The charging brick is still on the bigger side, since it needs a lot of power, but compared to other gaming laptops, it's actually quite manageable. And you could always use a smaller brick if you're on the go, since it also supports USB-C charging. Now let's move on to its keyboard. And let me say, this is the prettiest keyboard I have ever seen. It's got a per key RGB backlight, which allows for some cool looking effects since it has very vibrant LEDs. And combined with those matte white keys, it looks damn pretty. But how do the keys themselves feel? I am not lying when I say this might be the best keyboard on a laptop right now. The keys feel tactile, are very thumpy, and have long enough key travel. And it even has a numpad on the side. So overall, it offers a nice and comfortable typing experience. Now just below that, we have its trackpad. It isn't huge, I mean other laptops definitely offer bigger options, but it is made of glass. So it should feel sturdy, however mine came with this very rattly noise on the left side. And that does make it feel a bit cheaper and less built well. The clicks feel pretty nice though. But again, that rattling noise does take away from the overall premium feeling. When we look up from here, we get a gorgeous display. With a 2.5K 240Hz OLED panel, this is pretty much the best screen you can get on a laptop. It has gorgeous colors, basically infinite contrast, and blacks are about as black as it gets. 240Hz also means games look about as smooth as they can get. Pair that with the near instant pixel response times of OLED, and you're never gonna be limited by it. But this display does have a major issue. It is an absolute mirror. OLED displays usually are glossy, but with no kind of anti-reflective layer anywhere, this is pretty damn bad. If you want to use this thing outside or even near a lamp or a window, it's gonna be a fairly annoying experience. In the dark, however, the lack of a back panel just looks awesome. Its hinge almost goes back a full 180 degrees, which is nice. And in general, this is a very sturdy, high quality hinge, so it's not gonna wobble at any time and you can very easily open it up with one hand. But the best of the best laptops need to do everything right. And when it comes to speakers, that's usually what companies cheap out on. So how does the Legion 7 sound? these speakers sound really good. It does only have bottom-firing speakers, so it's not super loud and sounds a bit muffled, and it could definitely use a bit more bass. But other than that, these are definitely in the top 10 of best laptop speakers. Webcam is actually pretty damn high quality at 1440p. The image is a bit grainy, but it looks good. The microphone is pretty mediocre, but it should be good enough for web conferences and stuff like that. But being a gaming laptop, obviously performance is the most important part. And I'm really curious to see how that beast of an Intel chip performs in such a thin body. Well, to my surprise, it didn't even break a sweat. This 275HX performs on par with way thicker gaming laptops with the same chip, which is really impressive. And in 3D Mark TimeSpy, it also performs, as expected, very well. Since it has the full wattage available for that 5070, it's not limited anywhere. But these are all very isolated tests where they either only use the CPU or only the GPU. If we really want to test this thing's limits, we need to run a mixed CPU and GPU workload. And this is a gaming laptop after all, so let's play some actual games.
Paco, you are teaching. De la semaine.
I'll hack you to pieces. Ha! You'll never take me down.
What did you do, man? No!
So as for gaming, the Legion 7 had no issues whatsoever. In both CPU and GPU intensive games, it got high frame rates at good looking settings, even at its high native resolution of 1600p. And it wasn't really power limited at any point. Both the CPU and GPU easily reached their advertised wattage limits, which means they both had enough wattage headroom to perform great. So be it in the newest of games or the heaviest of programs, the Legion 7 is not gonna have any issues. But that much power in such a thin body doesn't sound like good news for thermals and fan noise, does it? Well, it's actually not. Both the CPU and GPU stayed well within their thermal limits. The CPU did have very short peaks of up to 100 degrees Celsius though. These short peaks were only for a couple of milliseconds and was probably just that Intel chip checking how far it could go. Because remember, the 275HX is a chip that can use a lot more power, but in this thin body, that's just not necessary in games. But what does that mean for fan noise? Well, apparently, not much. It's not any louder than your average gaming laptop. But during normal, light use, it stays completely silent. But what does lots of power mean for its battery life? Well, I tested its battery in two different scenarios, under light use and during gaming. In the light use test, I played a YouTube video until its battery died, with its display at 80% brightness, at 60 Hz, and with its dedicated GPU turned off. And while it didn't last super long, this is the longest time I've had so far with the 275HX chip. This CPU is just not made for efficiency. It lacks any kind of low power efficiency cores, so it just doesn't last very long on battery. And keep in mind that in actual real-world use, this number is likely gonna be a lot lower, so I'm not sure if it'll survive a full school day. In the gaming test, I played Battlefield 1 until its battery died, with the same settings as before. And gaming laptops are definitely not made to play games on battery for a long time. Please just get a gaming handheld if you want to do that. Now, normally, thin and light laptops just do not have the space for modular components, since they're so thin. But the Legion 7 still fights the good battle, because it has fully upgradable RAM, which is just awesome. It also has 2 M.2 SSD slots, so storage upgrades are very easy, and it even has an upgradable Wi-Fi card, which could be handy in the future. At least some manufacturers still fight to keep upgradeability alive, which you love to see. But none of this matters if it's the price of a house. So how much does the Legion 7 cost? Well, since it is a thin and light, you are paying a premium on it compared to thicker, cheaper gaming laptops. So if you want the best price to performance ratio, this might not be the best option. There are cheaper options with lower specs, which might have better value, but those do still have a premium over other thicker laptops. But you're paying extra for that portability, which I do think adds a lot of value. I'll put some Amazon links in the description for if you're interested in any of these models. But here comes the big question. Is the Lenovo Legion 7 worth it? I would say absolutely. This might be one of the best thin and light all-round laptops that you can currently buy. It looks incredibly sleek and is built very well. It has one of the best keyboards on a laptop. It has a gorgeous OLED display, which is great for gaming or for anything else. And packed into this thin body is one of the fastest processors of 2025. But it's definitely not without its issues. The reflectivity of that display is a real turn-off for a lot of people. I mean, it basically outrules using this thing outside, which kind of defeats the purpose of a thin and light. And the fact that it's limited to a 5070, while it could handle more, means you're stuck with 8 GB of VRAM, which is starting to become a limit these days. And its battery life is also not that great, which is a weird choice for a thin and light laptop, which, you know, you're supposed to use on the go. But if you're okay with those downsides, this might be the perfect laptop. I mean, it does a lot of things right. But is it the best thin and light laptop? Because this thing is directly competing with the current king of 16-inch laptops, the Asus ROG Zephyrus G16. So can the Legion beat the Zephyrus off of its throne? Well, let's find out in the next video, where I'll be comparing those two head-to-head in full detail. And let me give a huge shout out to my YouTube members. Soundwife, Thomas, Inky, Mr. Vassidu, Dropzone1, Martijn Snijkers, Flimsy, Aki, Disco Volante, Mr. Nuke, Sebastian, Christian Sands, Real Elf, Eric the Red, Wesley Rhodes, Michael, Ghost Data, Anogedar, Abdullah, and Louis. If you become a YouTube member, you get early access to content of mine, a shout out at the end of every video, and you'll also be supporting me as a creator to make these videos. And of course, you'll also be part of the Cool Guys Club, so you can use cool emojis like these in the comment section. So join the club if you're interested. And I will see you all in the next video. Bye bye.
Ty mě bude výjima, co se to popálí.